Hey guys, don't forget to check out the Street Cop Training Conference 2023, April 23rd through the 28th, Nashville, Tennessee, the Gaylord at Opry. What a center, what a place. We have amazing speakers, amazing training, 5 of the most impactful days of your career. Check it out at streetcop.com. You do not want to miss out. There is a room code available for a discounted room. Sign up now at streetcop.com.
111, 110.
Training to be a street cop.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Street Cop Training Podcast. I'm your host, founder, and CEO of Street Cop Training. My name is Dennis Benino. Today I have with me somebody who is well known throughout the country. And if you're unfamiliar with who he is, you're probably familiar with some of the artwork that he's done. He does a number of paintings of officers killed in the line of duty. On top of that, additional victims of some seriously horrible, violent crimes. You've probably seen his paintings and his murals on Facebook and Instagram. But here's the name, the guy behind all those paintings that you're seeing, and it's none other than Jonny Castro. So I just want to say thanks for being here today, John. And I got to meet you a couple of weeks ago, and for me, it was like a big moment, but I appreciate you being here, brother.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. And it's, a long time coming, but I'm glad to be here and to talk about this stuff. So thank you.
I was tickled when you actually knew who we were. He's like, no, Jonny knows who you are. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Good.
Everybody knows Street Cop Training, man.
I'd like to think that, but then, dude, sometimes you hear something funny. Like, so there's these two variables of having like some recognition and people knowing who you are. So I can't tell if people are concerned or nervous about saying hello to me. So they're like a group of cops somewhere. And like, I don't know if they're like worried that they're like, I'm going to be a weird dude or something. So sometimes I say, like, I'm like, hey guys, how are you? I'm Dennis. And they're like, and sometimes like, yeah, bro, we want to come over and talk to you. And like, love all the things you're doing. And then sometimes I do that. I come over and go, I am Dennis. And they go, yeah, I'm Joe. So, oh, okay. This wasn't one of those times, dude.
Yeah.
So you would think people know who you are. And I'm not trying to sound cocky about it, but I also want to encourage people who know who I am and maybe want to grab a picture or whatever, which is awesome. Like, it's so fucking cool that people think that I'm cool enough. Like, they do it to you too, bro. Isn't it the best?
Well, it is, but I don't really post too many pictures of myself. So a lot of people don't even really know my face. They just know the artwork. But when we were at Police Week, I mean, everybody knew because I had to stand out there or whatever, but I had people come up and they're like, these paintings are great. Like, is the artist going to be coming by today? And I was like, oh, that's me. And they're like, oh, you're Jonny Castro. Like, yeah. So I don't post too many pictures of myself in there. So a lot of people may not even really know who I am, but it is cool though when they do.
Is there a reason why you don't want people to know who you are? What's the science behind that?
It's not that I don't want people to know who I am. I never wanted the page to be about me. It's like, I mean, if you go to my page, it's all paintings with the occasional, Police Week post or, I presented a painting in person, but for the most part, I always wanted it to be about other people, their stories, what happened to them, not me. So it's great. Yeah, it's cool.
You're a great human being, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I think that you have to consciously decide to be a great human being. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, this kind of stuff, it's either you got it, you're going to do it and give it your 100% or you're not going to do it. There's no middle. You can't half-ass it or whatever. It's if you're going to do this out of the goodness of your heart, I mean, you got to stick with it. And like, I've been doing it for over 6 years now, just like painting these portraits and giving them away to the families and stuff. So there's no middle ground with it.
What made you want to start doing this in the first place?
I saw the reaction that a painting I did of one of our guys that was shot and killed in the line of duty. I gave it to his family. I gave prints to the district he was from, his friends that worked with him, and they all loved it. And people on social media loved it. They shared it, and I just felt like this could be something. Like I could paint fallen officers, and I did fallen officers for a while, and then I branched out a little bit, started doing military service members and canines and victims of crime. So I do a wide array of stuff, but it was just so well received that I just decided to stick with it, keep going. And that was back in early 2016. And now it's, mid 2022, and I got to be around 1,200 paintings, or a little bit more than 1,200 paintings now. So,
how much time are you investing into a painting to paint one of those?
Minimum like 7 to 8 hours. But like you'll see guys with a rack of ribbons and badges and pins, and those kind of stuff take a lot of time. It's a lot of details, so it could be upwards of 10 hours to 11 hours per painting. But for the most part, just the regular cops, it's about 8 hours.
I know you're not receiving per se compensation in a financial sense for doing a lot of these things, but I can't imagine what you're receiving in the sense of purpose and what you're doing for the world. It's, as somebody who just loves to give to the world, you must be on cloud nine in that sense.
Yeah, it's cool. You get a lot of messages, especially after a painting goes up and it gets, a few hundred shares, 1,000 shares, whatever it is. You'll start getting messages from siblings, mothers, fathers. I was his lieutenant. He was my best friend. He was the best man at my wedding. So you start to read all these stories, and it's cool that this painting actually made it to them. Like you posted in Philadelphia, and then an hour later, his mom sees it in California. It's cool that it gets that much traction, and you can actually correspond with these people and talk to them, and they let me know they got the prints. They have sent me pictures of them hanging up, and then the culmination of that is Police Week. Like Police Week's like the biggest thing of the year. That's when everybody just stops by and they get to see the actual, like my copy that I have in a book, and they get to take pictures with it and talk to me about it. I have hundreds and hundreds of patches and coins and T-shirts, fallen officer shirts, and it's cool. It's really nice that it's been received this way.
So the original copy goes to the family, the original, or you hold on to that and make prints?
Well, there is no original. Since it's all digital, so I'll paint it on a tablet with a laptop, and I'll just keep going and going. And once it's finished, I save it as a photo. I send it off to be printed at a print shop. So there's no original, but the family will get, let's say, 7 or 8 prints to give out, and then I always keep one for myself, and then I put it in a portfolio binder. And then I have 15 80-page binders set up. Like it's crazy, like how many, like front and back. It's just, they're so heavy. There's so many of them. And, I bring them out to Police Week, and people just love to flip through them and see them like, oh, I forgot I worked with him. And, I remember that story was crazy. So it's cool.
That's fucking amazing. So dude, usually I start the podcast when we do an episode and don't get right into questioning. And I give the guests here an opportunity to tell us a little about themselves. So tell us a little about you, where you're from, what you do for a living. And I think some of that's going to help people understand why you do this. So
I'm a Philadelphia police officer. I've been a police officer now for, it'll be 16 years this year. Prior to this, I was a U.S. Army veteran. I served over in Iraq in 04, 05. So once I came back from Iraq, there was a few months downtime, but I joined the police department right after. So I did patrol for almost a decade, and now I do the forensic work for the department. So I'll do the composite sketches of suspects. I'll do facial reconstructions of homicide victims for investigators. Try to clear up photos from cameras and stuff for investigators. It's really any type of any type of that kind of stuff I'll do. But I also design logos for different parts of the department. We print posters and stuff for them in our shop. So I say in our shop, but it's really just me and my lieutenant. There's nobody else in the unit, so it's just me and him. But for the most part, my job is the forensic work for the department now, and I've been doing that since 2015. I started that.
Well, first of all, thank you for your service. I will never understand what it meant to leave this country and go somewhere else and do something that was bigger than you. And I don't know if people can really contextualize or have a concept of what it must mean to be in a war, not near your house, not seeing your family or friends, and dealing with the repercussions and collateral damage, even mentally, from going through something like that. So, dude, I don't think people really understand and can quantify what that means, but I try my best to. So I just want to say thanks. because it means a
Thank
lot
you
to me.
very much. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
When did you get into artwork?
I've been doing it since I was a kid. Like, I have early sketchbooks of just like drawing like dumps, the He-Man, Ninja Turtles, like tons and tons of stuff. So I've been doing that my whole life. But I went to art college, and after 9/11, I dropped out to join the Army because of 9/11. So I did like a year and a half, and I just decided that it wasn't it. Like, I needed to do something. My dad was a Vietnam veteran. He served in Vietnam like early on, and two of the bad, like pretty much two of the worst years of me in Vietnam. So I just decided that's what I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to at least get one tour over there. And I had joined in late 2002, and I was over there in the end of '04. So I got over there pretty early. The war started, just like a year and a half prior or whatever. So it was still early on, and it was still pretty bad when I got there. But so I did the art college thing. It just wasn't for me. And then I became a cop. And then 10 years later, I found myself with an opening to do the forensic work. So I just started building a portfolio, drawing every day for like a month. And then I went down there, showed it to him, and I did a live sketch of a suspect. And then I didn't hear anything for almost a year. And then I just get a call one day, and they were like, "Yo, you start Monday." And like, this was like a Friday, and I was still at work, and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I went down there, and no training or nothing. I learned all the forensic work, like how to do the forensic work, just from watching YouTube videos and just having that knowledge of drawing faces and stuff for my whole life. And I just went right into it. So,
You said before you have all these books, and I think those books signify the sacrifice and the loss of human life that we actually endure as law enforcement officers or victims of crimes. And to look at it probably is just emotional in of itself. But you are certainly making a legacy of somebody who did something bigger than themselves. And I'm like secretly jealous that you're able to provide that much comfort to the families of these people, because I'd like to do the same. I just, in some sense, I know that we're doing good work, but, I can't imagine the motivation. When do you decide that you're going to start sketching somebody? Is it like immediately after? Is it every law enforcement officer? How do you come across this?
Yeah, I get that. I get asked that a lot. Like, you're going to do this person and that person. I can't, like, it's impossible with how many law enforcement deaths are a year. Like last year, I don't even know the number. I mean, it was like high 500s or something like that, or low sixes. I don't remember what it was, but I would have to do 2 a day. There'd be no time to do anything.
Right.
So I try to do all the officers that are killed by gunfire. Like, those ones take precedence, obviously, because they were out there doing something. They were doing their job, or they were ambushed, they were killed. I think those ones deserve the stories the most. Those ones deserve to have what happened to them told. I try to do a lot of the assaults. So I mix it up a little bit, but with the officers that are murdered by gunfire, those ones, I try to do all of them. And then from there, I start to pick stories. If somebody sends me a link or something to, a homicide that happened in their town of a teenager or a kid or a woman or some innocent bystander that got hit by a stray bullet, I try to take them into consideration and maybe do a couple of them a month. And any military service members that are killed serving overseas, that those stories always hit home to me. I mean, I lost a friend in Iraq, so anytime they come up, I try to get them done as well, and also put any medals they've earned posthumously on their ribbon rack. Their families love that. They love if they earned a Bronze Star for Valor after they got killed, or a Purple Heart. I put them at the top of their ribbon rack, and when the families see it, they love that. They love to see everything that they earned posthumously on there. So it does suck that I can't get to everybody, and I really wish I could, but I just try to do as many as I can in the time that I have.
I don't think people listening to this should take offense to the fact that the person you may have loved qualified, or you feel like doesn't qualify for Jonny, but clearly he is overwhelmed and doing the best that he can. So if that's the decision he's made to do that, nobody is downplaying the significance, just to be clear, of your loved one that was lost in the line of duty, maybe in a car crash or a real strange accident. Certainly acknowledged. And, but obviously he has to try to stick to his ability to do as many as he can. And if he stays in one lane, that's where he can get a lot of this accomplished. So a lot of people don't realize when you're doing something and you take on too much, you actually do nothing.
I found myself I was like, oh, this one just happened. Let me get it done. I'll try to do it as fast as I can and get it up. And it was burning me out. Like I was trying to do it the next day. And for a while I was doing it, but it was like, I found that if I spend more time on it, if I spend the extra 2 hours working on it, try to get everything right, it comes out a lot better. And, I've had, there's the occasional time where like people have messaged me and like, yeah, it's good. It's just, something's a little off with it, like his eyes aren't right or something. But since I've stopped doing that and I've been taking my time and working on these longer, they've been coming out a lot better. I mean, personally, I think they look a lot better than they did, a year or two ago when I was trying to rush them out and get done 5 a week. I do like maybe 2 at 3 at the most a week now. So
yeah, I mean, you're investing significant time, dude, for no compensation. But time is precious, and I know you have family and everything.
Yeah, I do, and I just try to divide my time up with them at home, and then with what I do at work, and then with this. So it's like a 3-part thing, and I try to just give my equal time to everything.
Do you still find fulfillment in it? You're driven by your emotions still?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, you have to. If you didn't, if you do anything where you're donating your time and your effort, it doesn't matter what it is. You have to be on it 100% or it's nothing.
What do you feel when you're drawing these people?
It's really, I don't feel anything as I'm drawing them at the time. It's trying to capture who they were in that portrait, and, whether it's a smile or the eyes or the hair or the uniform. I just try to get that part right. But it's when you start typing up the story and you start, because you'll read the story like, officer killed by gunfire, and you're like, all right, he was shot and killed in the line of duty. I'll try to do him. And then you start reading, because everybody gets that first Facebook post and they want to get it out. They want to share it, officer killed by gunfire. But then 4 or 5 days later, the investigation comes out and you see that this officer was, fighting with the guy for, 30 seconds to a minute. And the guy, he was trying, he took the gun off of him and killed him. And then he stole his patrol car. And then there's all these things that happen after the fact. And a lot of people don't realize that. So after a few days, you start typing that up and you realize exactly what this officer went through and what this officer did. Like that now the sacrifice it means so much more. To me personally, to try to get these portraits right.
Do you ever relate to it because you were a cop? You ever think that they could be me?
Yeah, there's a lot of these stories, especially domestics and serving warrants, kicking in doors to do whatever. And there's somebody waiting for them like that. There's a lot of my friends that have been shot at and luckily it didn't hit them, but that could have been them. That could have been me, 6, 7, 8 years ago. But luckily I'm in a position where I am, where I don't have to worry about that anymore. But I mean, all my friends are still out there doing the same stuff. So it's, it does get to you. And when you realize that how close a lot of these calls that your friends are going through are.
Do you ever feel like, you really get to know the person as you're drawing them? You feel like a connection to them at all?
Yeah. When you start gathering all the photos, like I'll go to, Google's fine, but I think Facebook is the best for finding reference photos. So I could go to maybe their wife's page or their son or daughter's page. You start to see what kind of person these officers are. They're at their son's soccer games, or they're, taking them to the park, or they just had a baby. So you get all these personal photos, not just the photos of them in uniform. You see who these officers were behind the badge, behind the uniform. And that's when the emotions start to play out, and you start to really feel what this family is going through.
Have you gotten emotional drawing people?
Yeah, towards the beginning, and a lot of these portraits of the kids, the victims of crime, their children, those ones are always rough, especially when it's an infant who was sitting in a car and got hit by a stray bullet during, a shootout or something like that. It's like those ones they're always hard.
I can relate. You have kids, right?
I do. They're grown. I mean, they're not grown, but they're teenagers now. But I mean, at the time, I was in patrol when I had my youngest. So it's it's tough to be a dad and be an officer, and especially a family member when they lose their dad like that in the line of duty.
Yeah, it's tough, dude. I think that a lot of us just become a lot more emotional as men when we become fathers.
Yeah.
Not to sound cliche, but I've cried at the end of Coco about 3 times. I don't know why, every single fucking time.
What movie?
Coco?
Oh, Coco. Yeah, dude. I love Coco. Yeah.
Coco's a fucking movie, dude.
I'm trying to think of which one of them I don't know. I'll get back to you on it. There was one that I saw and I was like, man, that was raw. I was like choking in the theater watching it. I was like,
Have you ever had to draw somebody or somebody, I guess the second part is if it wasn't that, what's the closest it's been to you? I know you said earlier that people from the Philadelphia Police Department, which is a crazy fucking place to begin with because they shoot at you guys like crazy.
Yeah.
Then you come across the bridge to Jersey. I'm not downplaying the severity, but like it's nuts that you guys are 30 minutes away from us and you have shootings at cops nonstop. But you come over the bridge and it all fucking ceases over here for the most part.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I think it's gotten a lot worse since I started where I am. Back when I remember just being out on the street, and I mean it happened, but it didn't happen as often as it happens now. I mean, you see cops being shot at. I mean, if not weekly, definitely monthly, and
crazy.
And a lot of times they don't fire back. Like they don't fire back because of fear of what's going to happen to them, or maybe they didn't have the shot or whatever it was. But you just see like officers were shot at and no officers discharged their weapons. It's crazy. But the only person that I ever personally knew that I painted was Staff Sergeant Jimmy McNaughton. He was the first NYPD cop killed in Iraq. They considered his death a line of duty because we were military police officers over there, and he was shot and killed by a sniper. So he's actually on the wall down in DC. He was put on the wall just a few years ago. I mean, he was killed in 2005, but it took that long to get his name on the wall to be recognized as a line of duty death. But he was the only person that I ever personally knew, personally talked to. All these portraits are just people from all over the country, and even the local ones are guys from my department that I painted. I didn't know them. I don't think I've ever crossed paths with them, but I know a lot of people who did work with them, who were very close with them, and they want copies of these prints to hang in their bar at home, or little ones to tape up in their locker just to remember them by.
I think you're doing like one of the most amazing things. I told you when I first met you that I don't know, I don't get starstruck too much, but I think the work that you're doing means so much to me. I've been looking at your paintings for years, dude. And, then I come to find out you're a Philly guy. You're close to me. I reached out to Jesse Hartnett. I'm like, John Castro? And he's like,
I was there.
I know.
I was there.
Can you call that motherfucker and get him and get me in touch with him?
I was there with him. Like, it was that was a crazy name. But yeah, he's a great guy too. So it's cool that you you kind of know all these people that I know.
Yeah, I know so many Philly guys and girls that come to the training nonstop. I think your FOP is outrageous. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Super cool there, man.
Yeah. They've been supporting my stuff for. Oh, you talking about the actual FOP, the bar?
Well, both.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, I got to tell you, people don't know that like the Philly boys and girls out there on that police department, they're a special group of people, dude.
Yeah.
They're just cut from a different cloth. They've got drive. They're resilient. They're fucking professional courtesy for days. They can't do enough for you. Just good dudes, man. Good women out there. I've never met a Philly cop that I didn't like. And they're just down to earth, good fucking dudes. You know what I mean?
I know. Yeah, definitely. And it's always been like that since I've been on the job. It's just like everybody's your brother, everybody's your sister. It's cool.
Yeah, it's a great place to be. I mean, unfortunately, the dynamic that you work in under the district attorney or whatever he's called out there, it's an uphill battle. There's no question about that.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you want people to know before we end this thing? That's probably the last question I have. But what do you want people to know about law enforcement officers? Maybe what you do, why you do it. I think we've kind of covered a lot of this, but I'm looking for that last big final statement. And then I also want to know where they can find you.
What I most want people to know is that these are all done for free. There's no compensation for me. Nobody's paying me for these. Like, these are done just in my free time. They're done on my own dime. So it's like, I just want people to know that I'm doing as many of these as I can each year. And it's never going to be, I'm never going to get to everybody. It's never going to be enough to get, like, I'm never going to be able to do 400 or 500 of these a year. So the ones you see, these are the guys who like made the ultimate sacrifice. Their stories are just going above and beyond. So I just want people to know that, these are all done from my heart, and it's been like that since 2016, and it'll be like that 2040 if I'm still doing it, so.
Well, I don't think you need to feel guilt about people can't get to, because there's a lot of things that I can't get to either. And on behalf of everybody in law enforcement, dude, I think we owe you a great deal of thanks, because maybe people don't realize the sacrifice that you make to make this thing happen. And you can't make everybody happy, dude. And you need to stop beating yourself up about any of that shit, because you could be doing nothing, but you're doing something. You could be doing nothing. People say to me, we need this, we need that. You didn't do this, you didn't do that. Guys, I'm one human being. I got 59 message requests right now on Facebook, followed by like another boatload of things that people are trying to get to me. And I'm only one person. I have put a team and staff in place to try to help me take on the workload. So I completely understand what you're going through. And well, we may make it look easy, but people think I'm in here just goofing off on TikTok. And bro, that's a lot of thought goes into that stuff. A lot of practice goes into that stuff. We do many takes. We have people who are paid to do that. We have equipment we have to pay for. There's just a lot. Like then we slide it over to Instagram, and we start working on the Instagram. Then we're working on the Facebook. Then I'm working on, building more programs for more cops to get trained. And I can go on for days of what we have to do. But what I'm saying is, I'm not making this about me, is I want people to recognize that Jonny could have done nothing, but he's doing as much as he can. And I think we should all appreciate him for that.
Thank you.
Where can they find, and I think they should follow you at a very minimum, if you're doing this wonderful gesture for the world, I think that they should follow you on your social media accounts. So where can they find you on social media?
I'm only on Facebook and Instagram. It's just Jonny Castro Art. No H, Jonny, Jonny Castro Art. So just go on there and you can like the page and see these paintings as I post them.
Can people buy copies of the paintings, or can they download the pictures and have it printed off?
Well, they're Facebook quality, so I don't know what kind of resolution you're going to get at what size you're printing them on, but I always send one package of prints to either the family or the department. I'll send like 8 prints. And if that's enough, that's enough. If not, I just tell them to reach out to me and I'll get another package together for them. But I never sold these. I never put them up to be sold. It's just, I always kind of reserve them for the families, and the departments. That kind of keeps it special, kind of keeps it unique, I think.
I think you're allowed to think however you want to think. And that's perfectly fine. So, hey man, I appreciate everything you do. Like, tremendous. Like, I said to you last time I saw you, like, can we call each other friends now? But I'm pumped that you're my friend. Like, I'll brag about this one. I'm like, that fucking guy. And dude, I won't. But dude, I want to just continue to have a relationship with you, and I want to support you. And, as we progress forward, I want to be able to try to provide as much support for you as I possibly can. And if there's anything I can do for you, and I want to invite you to everything that we do, because I'm just so impressed by it, dude. There are some about certain human beings that I can't get enough of. And Man, I hope we get to fucking hang out.
Yeah, I definitely keep me in a loop. Text me, let me know, and I'll be there, man.
All right, brother. Listen, I appreciate you being on here, and thank you everybody for the continued support. Check out Jonny Castro.